They're dying for a seat at the table because this is the shit we worry about. You all want us to be prim and proper. What, ladies and gentlemen, do you come to our show for? To call out stupid shit. That's what you should be saying. That's what absolutely should be saying. But the world is different now. What the is so bad about saying, yeah, what are we supposed to be about here? I'll tell you exactly what we're supposed to be freaking about, and that is we're supposed to tell you the truth, and I saw horse shit the other day. I got all these little fat barstool kids, these little hanger-on barstool guys. They go by fake names, and they try to get involved. They're dying for a seat at the table. God, if I could just get a chair while the fellas are betting. And it happened yesterday. Portnoy don't give a shit about this stuff. Big Cat don't give a damn. PFT don't care. But the little fat pains in the ass all around Barstool that are trying so hard to impress Dave or Big Cat, out of their freaking mind. Kirk Herbstreit the other day got caught maybe on a hot mic, maybe not. Who cares? He was doing a game. He was doing a horse shit game. He was doing a North Carolina TCU game. And on a hot mic, he got caught saying they stinks or something like that. So what? Even let's just say, and I know Herbie better than this, he's a pro, but so what? They did stink. But the little fat outkick guys, the little fatties, little doughboys that try to be wise guys. I want to see Dave. Can Dave get me? Ah, geez. You ever been sitting there minding your own business, watching a football game, and boom, out of nowhere, an announcer gets caught on a hot mic, what we're all saying, what we're all thinking, what we're all talking about to our brothers? None of us are allowed to say this stuff on the air, although there's no reason not to. People are in an uproar over a hot mic comment. Really, only little fat kids on Barstool are. I love making fun of them. They're dying for my attention left and right. So Kirk Herbstreit, coming back from a commercial before the UNC-TCU game started the fourth quarter. I don't know if any of you caught this, but fans in attendance, well, here's what Herbie had to say. See if this is so egregious.
They're bad. Fourth quarter starting here in Chapel Hill. It has been all TCU.
Now, this again shows why the United States of America is the greatest country on earth. Because this is the shit we worry about. This is the shit that little fat kids with supposed college degrees that want to be in the cool kids club at Barstool and other places, including Outkick, lose their mind. He said you're bad. He's not talking about UNC and TCU, but even if he was, who gives a shit? Even if he was talking about UNC and TCU, even if he was saying Belichick or the quarterback or the team is bad. But the little Barstool guys, the little fat kids, they're running around, oh my God. Oh, they're bad. Kirk Herbstreit caught on a hot mic. So what? So what? I mean, see, Barstool, the main guys, great dudes. I love Portnoy. I was on a text chain with him and Big Cat the other day with Urban Meyer. PFT commentator, I raised those guys. Those guys used to come into my studio and hang out, or come to my location at the Indy 500 and hang out. Those guys are great guys. But it's the little fat fucks that walk around. Now, they'll write an article on this, and I don't give a shit. I love it. Little fat kids. They do these Olympics, and little fat kids can't even run up and down, but they criticize everybody. We got one here in Indiana. His name is Fat Kid. So what? Herbie says he was talking about one of their producers, but so what? So what? They were bad. North Carolina was the worst football team I saw all weekend. And I saw Nevada. I saw New Mexico. He'd be right. Herbie is adamant his words are being misconstrued. Herbie quoted Barstool saying, must be a slow night. Not sure why this is so confusing. I said, you're bad. Absolutely, he did. To my spotter, Darren, for something funny he said when we were coming back on air. That's exactly what he said. But you can't get Dave Portnoy's attention if you don't act like a fat dumbass and go after the biggest star in college football, Herbstreit. I mean, damn. You got to do that because you're a little fat kid that has nothing to offer. You're sitting around scratching yourself, eating ribs, combing your hairy ass back, prematurely bald, and you're sitting there going, oh, I got to get something to Dave. I want PFT to see me. That's all this is. And I say this, I'm only joking. Yeah, my ass. I love Barstool. Like I said, I love the guys, the real guys, not these fake guys. These fake guys that try to act like they're trying. Oh, God, if Dave could just notice me. Oh, my God, I might get a pass to WrestleMania. I've done TV. I've done radio. I've had mics on me since damn near 17 years old. But a lot of these guys had media training. You assume the mic is hot. I don't care if you're at halftime, pregame, postgame, taking a dump, which, by the way, I did with an open mic when I was doing Sports Center. I've had a lot of hot mic moments that I wish didn't happen. I've had a lot. But you know what? Somebody grabs you, pets you on the knee, and says, hey, I got to the point where I didn't care. Why should I? There's a lady, I can't remember her name. I think his name was Louise Cornett. I could be wrong. Great lady at ESPN. I don't know if she's there now. She's too good for ESPN. It may not have been her, but I love you, Louise. And that's why I brought up your name, because you're always really cool to me. But anyway, one of the ladies, one of the director, producer, I don't know, she said to me one time, man, I've got a whole archive of ridiculous things announcers said when they didn't know the mic was on. Everybody would get fired if I ever released this thing. Of course. I mean, you all want us to be prim and proper. What the fuck is so bad about saying you're bad or they're bad? Hey, if Tirico would ask me during a game, Michigan State, and they're playing basketball, Mike, what do you want me to tell you? They're terrible tonight. And if you asked Izzo and they were terrible that night, I was saying exactly what the coach was saying. That's my job. But people don't understand, particularly little fat. I can't say little fat kid. Drink, take a shot every time I say little fat kids because I can't stop saying it. Because I've seen these guys. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. Just little fat guys running around. But anyway, hey, good for them, man. Barstool got themselves more exposure. They don't need it. Barstool is going to kill it here on Fox. Dave Portnoy made high noon kickoff. I'm not going to say interesting because when Urban does his breakdowns, that's interesting, but he made it different, and I like it. PFT commentator's always the coolest guy in the room. Big Cat's a friend. So I love the guys, but this is bullshit. And that's what I go back to my initial statement. What, ladies and gentlemen, do you come to our show for? To call out stupid shit. That's what you come to my show for. I can't speak to everybody else's show. Everybody else got their own thing. But mine is we're going to call out stupid shit. Let's say worst case argument, Herbie said, oh, they're bad. 99.99999% of the public that isn't having sex with Bill Belichick would agree. They would. They'd be like, yeah, they're terrible. That's the worst coach team I saw all weekend. That's the worst Power 5 football team I've seen in a long time. Deion Sanders somehow, some way got the worst Power 5 team in football to beat this same TCU team a year ago, and the greatest coach in the history of the world couldn't get his team to stay within 30. Like, what are we doing? That's what you should be saying. That's what absolutely should be saying. But the world is different now for whatever the reason. Herbie, you do it. I don't think I ever really got caught on a hot mic. I did major in telecommunications at Indiana, and the two things that I did learn is always sit on your back of your coat. See on my shoulder right here, there's no wrinkle? If you don't, then you get wrinkles. Always sit on the back of your coat and always know that the mic is hot. Always. Not sometimes. Always. Period. Damn. But he said they're bad. Well, you're not allowed to say a horseshit team is horseshit? Good for Herbie fighting back. Love you, Herbie. Keep killing it. Love the dog, too. The hell. Hey, by the way, Big Noon Kickoff is going to be in Ames, Iowa. I text Urban yesterday. I said, hey, when I left to go to West Virginia, I came back to Bowling Green. Urban left to go to Utah. He called his sister Gigi, who is a provost at the University of Cincinnati. He said, I'm thinking about going back. I miss Bowling Green. His sister famously said, Bowling Green? That's a truck stop. It's not. It's great. I texted Urban yesterday. I said, you think Bowling Green's a truck stop? Wait till you see Ames, Iowa. Holy shit. The whole place smells like a cow just shitting your shoes. Period. I mean, when I say the whole thing, I mean the whole thing. But Eddie and I were going into a Noodles because it was the one day in my life I was going to be a vegan. We were doing the Iowa State game. I stopped. I looked at Benetti. It must have been December, right? That's the Cy-Hawk thing. Neither team, although I do like Rocco Beck, neither team's worth a damn, but that's all right. Neither team's interesting. They get great crowds in their own area. But damn, I looked. Hey, Benetti, Jason Benetti, smell this. He goes, what, your soup? I go, no, the sky. It smells like a dog just shit on a rabbit, that shit on a cow, that shit on a moose, that threw up all over my shoes. That's what it smelled like. Urban said, I can't wait. I call bullshit. Anyway, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I, we make decisions every day. Oh, it's exhausting. I got to decide what to eat today. But on PrizePicks, if you're right, you get paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player statistics and the projections of those statistics. If you get the pick right, you cash in, win up to 2,000 times your scratch. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. That's code Dakich to get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I got it. I said. I got it. Davey was trying to help me. I got it. I went to my stupid face. Edit. Anyway, we spend to win. Them's fighting words. That was the Oregon head coach Dan Lanny's response to Oklahoma State's head coach Mike Gundy, who's become a little bitch, by the way. Mike Gundy made a comment on his radio show about a sizable NIL budget, which is backed by Nike CEO Phil Knight. I know their matchup this week in Eugene. College football has always been extremely petty, but the infusion of cash being public has brought the pettiness to unseen levels, and it's awesome to watch unfold. Now listen to this. Gundy's giving me a freaking headache. He's giving me a headache. Gundy's starting to bitch, whine, and moan too much. He's lucky to have a damn job. All right, and I'm going to show you something. And I always said this. Stuff, and I'm going to give it to you. I think Oregon spent close to $40 million alone last year. So that's just 1 year. Now, I might be off a few million. Oregon is paying a lot of money for their team from a non-conference standpoint. There's coaches saying they should play teams with similar budget. Oh, go screw yourself, Gundy. No, Gundy. No. You can kiss my ass with that. Gundy, have you always played non-conference teams that are the same as you, budget-wise? Have you? Huh? Really? I don't think you have, Gundy, you lying sack of shit. All of a sudden, man, I'm on one today, Davey. That's not good. What's wrong with me? Damn. I sound like Scott Jennings calling Tim Walz a piece of shit. Did you see that yesterday? Holy cow. Look at me today. He is lying, though. I hate when guys do this. This is personal to me because I've said it all along. I've said it forever. I don't want to hear you heroes in the Big Ten bragging about what great coaches you are when you play schools that have 1/20th the budget of you, Gundy. See, Gundy has played. Let me go through this real quick. So Gundy's non-conference game, the one that he won, was against UT Martin. So he's bitching, whining, and moaning, Gundy is, about Oregon playing a non-conference game against a team that doesn't make as much as him, yet he's playing UT Martin. UT doesn't even – who the hell is Martin? And then he's playing Tulsa. If you think UT Martin and Tulsa are on the same financial level as you're out of your mind, Mike Gundy, or maybe you're just stupid. And I don't think you're stupid. I don't. But this really pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. This really pisses me off when football coaches say stupid stuff like this. First off, football coaches are starting to piss me off, and I'm here for it. But I'm telling you right now, this is the dumbest stuff ever. And I am not here for Gundy's bullshit. I'm not. I'm sorry. A year ago, he played North Dakota. You think North Dakota has the same budget as Iowa State? I mean, we got the Cyhawk series coming up. Or excuse me, not Iowa State. The hell, Oklahoma State. I don't even know where Gundy coaches anymore. I mean, damn. I mean, this dude plays nobody, and then this dude is going to pontificate to us on how another team should conduct its business. They played Central Arkansas in 2023. Now, I didn't even know they had a football team. They played Arkansas Pine Bluff. Now, I want you to think about that. Arkansas Pine Bluff is the worst team in every sport through no fault of coaches or players at Arkansas Pine Bluff. Ain't got no money. Hell, South Alabama kicked their ass back in 2023. Central Arkansas played them 2 years ago yesterday. Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? Are you nuts? Gundy talking like this? South Dakota State last year. That's who Gundy's dumbass is playing. I'm so tired of football coaches. I'm so tired of them. All right, here's Dan Lanning, the coach at Oregon, clapping back at Gundy. He can't clap any better than I just did because I'm on one today.
There is, listening to him talk. Like I said, I got a ton of respect for Coach Gundy. Ultimately, how blessed are we to be in a place that's invested in winning? If you want to be a top 10 team in college football, you better be invested in winning. And we spend to win. Some people save to have an excuse for why they don't, right? And ultimately, he's a great coach. They've done an unbelievable job, but I want to be a team that's competing at the highest level. And we're really fortunate to be in that situation. So I can't speak on their situation. I have no idea, what they got in their pockets over there. I'm sure UT Martin maybe didn't have as much as them last week, and they played. So we'll let it play out.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. There you go. That's a good answer. Last year, Lanning had to defend himself because all these bitchers, whining, and moaners. Kirby Smart can't even run a program without getting somebody arrested every freaking day. Can't even run a program. I mean, he's so bad at what he does. Yeah, he wins games, but he's had people killed. He's had drunk hostesses driving company cars. I mean, damn. Kirby Smart is about one step away from going to jail if we had a decent legal system. I've been a head coach. There's never a time when some little hostess should be drunk driving a company car and then she crashed and died. It's horrible. It's the worst thing I could possibly imagine, along with one of his players. I can't even imagine it. I had one player fall out one time. I made deals with God that I would never swear. Thankfully, we revived him. I can't imagine going through life knowing that your program contributed to that, and it did. It did. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how many games he wins. That's just me, though. Everybody handles things different. I could not imagine. But all of a sudden, these guys, instead of being humble, Kirby Smart had to come after him. Phil Knight money, blah, 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 blah. This guy can't even run his own shop. Lanning had to defend it. I think it's impressive that guys like Kirby have been signed the number one class in the nation without any NIL money this entire time. That's right. Lanning saying you guys have been cheating. Didn't Lanning work for Smart? I think he did. Could be wrong. So we got real beef. It appears that Phil Knight's money's rubbing people the wrong way. It appears. It does. Sticking with beef, Dabo Swinney is feeling the heat. I don't know why. Dabo Swinney's made more money than God. They will absolutely, positively If they fire him, got to pay him $100 million, whatever. I don't even know the buyout, but it's more than he'll ever spend. He tried to offer up an explanation about what went wrong Saturday versus LSU, saying it's like getting a final exam day one of class. They made a 65. We made a 58. Brian Kelly wasn't having it. Here's Sweeney's comments.
I mean, if we make the first tackle, I mean, Wade's got the guy. He's got, I mean, I don't even know how his knee didn't go down, but he, you know, without that run, I mean, like I said, the last 58 minutes is 2.8. And that is a physical group. It's a very smart quarterback, and that is a back. So they're going to be a problem. And they got some explosive dudes, and it was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game. Down the last play, right out of the gate. It's like getting the final exam day one of class. They made a 65, we made a 58. Neither one of us were great.
I don't know, man. Here's Brian Kelly's rebuttal.
We dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for, giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half. So, again, look, this is all like, past.
Yeah. That's the old knockout blow right there. Yeah. Enjoying the show? I'm on one today. Mom, I'm sorry. Of course you are. Make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@don't@me with Dan Dakich, one word. Like, comment, subscribe. You'll never miss any of our great content. It's pretty funny, though. Hey, Davey, I don't know. I thought Brian Kelly's answer was pretty damn good. I don't know what I get. I guess I get what Kirby Smart was trying to say, but I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. What do you think?
Dan, you look at that. I love the war of words going on between these coaches. I mean, it's only week one. I love him taking the shot. I don't have any problem at all with what Brian Kelly said.
I agree. I thought what Brian Kelly said was great, and if you're trying to if you're trying to explain why your team stunk, then you know what? Do it in a different way that doesn't include the other coach, right? I mean, you don't need to include. I don't think you need to include Brian Kelly's team. I mean, do it in a way that doesn't include the other team. Is how I look at it, right? I mean, hey.
Yeah, Dabo just seemed incredibly salty, as the kids would say.
He does. He seems like a little bit on edge here, Dabo is. Yes, he does. All right. Mike Tirico, friend of me. I don't know if he's friend of the show, but he's definitely a friend of mine and a good friend of mine, is concerned about the future, and I don't think he's wrong here, about the future of sports broadcasting, lamenting that he feels fewer chances for sports reporters within the middle class. I'll explain that. He believes the mega paydays of guys like Stephen A., Tom Brady, Troy Aikman are driving young kids away from reporting and driving them to opinion matters. I think he's right. One thing, though, you can make a good living being an analyst or a play-by-play guy. And I mean it, good living. Good living. Everybody doesn't have to be Stephen A. Smith. It's almost parallels our country where the middle class has become tougher to maintain. Almost parallel sports, too. When you have big-ticket star players at the top and salary caps, and then the bottom end is where you have a lot of rotation of people coming in, coming out. Who can you find as a young star who can rise through your organization? Well, ESPN has stopped that a long time ago. No, they stopped that a long, long time ago. It's very different from when I started. I think we missed some people. We missed some stars with that system. We missed the valuable innings. The 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell, I'll get to him in a second, discusses to hone your craft. I think we missed some of that and we're not developing stars. But I think overall the industry has evolved in a way that it's hard for any of us to foresee. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. See, Mike came up the old-fashioned way, got into the new house, worked his ass off, and became a real guy and did a great job and a diligent job. I've never worked with anybody that worked harder than Mike Tirico, that knew more, that prepared harder. And I worked with guys that prepared just as much, but I've never been with anybody that worked harder than Mike Tirico. I do find when I go back to school now, you find more of the students who are interested in being hosts and opinion makers and less who are interested in being play-by-play announcers. I find that really, really fascinating. The celebrity factor becomes the magnet, and the coming through the ranks and the meat and potatoes is often there, as not as often as it once was, at least in some of the students that I see coming through. He's right. Everybody sees if you got a big mouth, but here's the deal. You kids, you little barstool kids, let's use those guys. You ain't going to become Dave Portnoy, no matter how hard you try. He owns a company. You're not going to become PFT or Big Cat Y. He owns a company. You can become a little hanger-on guy. Nothing wrong with that. But you're not going to. Being a play-by-play guy is one of the best jobs in the world. You got the best seat, the best for sporting events. You travel to great locations on a company dime. You don't have to work all that hard. I mean, god dang, it's sports, by the way. You go to a practice, big deal. You talk to players. Great. It's freaking awesome. Awesome. Hey, speaking of opinion makers, Dave Portnoy, who recently joined Fox's Big Noon Kickoff to make headlines, is throwing out conspiracy theories that is going to only add fuel to the fire in the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. Near the end of Tuesday's debut episode of Wake Up Barstool, a discussion about the Chargers' chances at the Super Bowl led Portnoy to shift the conversation to the aftermath of Michigan's sign-stealing controversy. During the segment, the Michigan alum speculated that Ohio State might ultimately bear the brunt of the consequences from the entire situation. Listen to this. It's a conspiracy theory, and a good one.
Story.
It was not reported by CBS News. Here's the deal. It's an article in Detroit, 79-page report of the ruling regarding sign stealing. The NCAA revealed a student-athlete lied about his claim that former linebackers coach Chris Partridge asked players not to cooperate with investigators. Partridge was fired November 23, weeks after the investigation began. However, Partridge was not penalized by the NCAA following their investigation. The NCAA also reported that a student-athlete recorded a phone call with Connor Stallions, the centerpiece of the investigation, who received an 8-year show-cause penalty from the NCAA. Additionally, the NCAA revealed that a campus source in Michigan provided material information to an unnamed private investigation firm. CBS News Detroit has been provided information from a private investigator that shows that the athlete who lied to the NCAA about Partridge is the same student-athlete who recorded a phone call with Stallions without his consent. Private investigator also informed CBS News Detroit that the student-athlete and campus source are the same individual who's a former player on Michigan's team. Let me say that again. On Michigan's team. Private investigator presented evidence that the same student-athlete who lied to the NCAA regarding Partridge and who recorded a phone call with Stallions took videos from the former Michigan staffer's personal computer in an unauthorized manner, handed the videos over to an unnamed private investigative firm, which turned it over to the NCAA within 24 hours to start the investigation. Now, there is absolutely, read my lips, this is George Bush style, nothing going to happen at all. Nothing. Zero to Ohio State. So there's two ways to look at this. You can look at it the way Dave Portnoy looked at it, or you can look at it the way that I would look at it as a coach. You got a disgruntled player at Michigan. Disgruntled. All right. Okay. And he's mad about the cheating. So he records the cheater. And he turns it over to somebody, a third party, to turn it over to the NCAA because he doesn't want his fingerprints on it. Now, explain to me how this is an Ohio State mold. See, Dave's never coached, so he may not understand that there are disgruntled players that hate their coaches and want to see them be brought down. I mean, that's the way the world works. I mean, what are you, crazy? See Neil Reed at Indiana, rest his soul. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, that's been going on as long as time. Coaches think players love them. They hate them a lot of times. Maybe they respect them. But when you lose respect for a coach and you see cheating going on, maybe this kid grew up as a Michigan fan. Maybe this kid had Go Blue all over his house. I don't know. And maybe he got there and he was disappointed by the fact that Michigan, through Stallions and others, was cheating his ass off and got desperate. I don't know, but I don't see the word Ohio State in there. Do you? Hey, Davey, you're smart. What do you think?
Dan, as it relates to Portnoy making the claim that there could be a punishment for Ohio State and all this, I don't view it that way. Now, there could be a situation, if you want to separate, an actual court as far as you illegally recorded something or obtained it, that's different than how the NCAA is going to look at an investigation. They don't have to apply or abide by the same rules. It's two completely separate things. I don't see anything coming out of this at all. This is just another situation when you look at Michigan, Ohio State, of how are we going to add fuel to the fire and continue to go at the team that we just hate.
Totally agree. Well said. Very, very, very well said. There you go. That's exactly right. This is just fuel to a fire, and good for Dave. First show, you got to make a splash. You made a splash. But no. All right, another Michigan man, Tom Brady. Tom Brady believes the quarterback position isn't as mentally developed as it was when he entered the league. All right. Brady got that strong God complex. I mean, why wouldn't he? He got off with taking PPE loans. If you watch that roast, he's like one of the worst human beings alive. Like, he's a terrible, despicable human being. I worked for Fox. And I saw him in person. I thought he looked horrible. My wife almost fainted. It was like seeing Hosanna, but damn. Here's what Brady has to say about now everybody's not nearly as what now? What is it? Mentally developed. Okay, here we go.
I don't believe the quarterback position is mentally as developed as it was when I entered the league 25 years ago. There was a premium on understanding defenses, on understanding matchups, on, I'd say, pre-snap reads, getting your team in and out of the right play. And I felt the way that I learned to play the position over a period of time will lead and will continue to lead. You'll give your team the best chance to win. To truly be a field general, like all the guys that we admired growing up, the John Elways, the Dan Marinos, the Joe Montanas, I think you better have a mental advantage on the field. And I think sometimes that's more important than the physical advantage. Now, did I wish I could run? Of course I wished I could have run. But because I couldn't run, I had to double down on those things much more than anybody else. I ran a 5.2 840 at the combine. So I knew that if the ball was in my hands, nothing good was going to happen.
Did I hear that right? If the ball was in my hands, nothing good was going to happen. Look, when you get done playing, you never made a mistake. I would argue this. Patrick Mahomes is the smartest, most creative football player that I have seen. Tom Brady, you can't argue with his success. And in fact, his success is getting enhanced by Belichick's lack of success without Tom Brady. But I don't know if I buy all that crap. I really don't. Defenses are faster than they've ever been. Defenses are more dynamic. They're more confusing. I don't know. Like, I would love to get from him an example of who is not mentally developed. Like, that's an easy thing to say. Back in my day, they were more mentally developed. Now they play on athletic ability. I would love to know who he's talking about and show examples. Show me the difference of you throwing a football against really good players and somebody that's not developed. Yeah, you're right. Anthony Richardson is one of those, no question, but that's one. I would argue that the guys at the top of the list, the Josh Allens of the world, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Lamar Jacksons of the world, do everything well. I would argue they read the defense, they throw the ball, they get the ball out of their hands. Tom Brady was, terrific at all that. I would argue these guys are as well. I mean, who are you talking about? Are you talking about the upper end or are you talking about the lower end? Because I got to tell you, Tom Brady, the lower end was pretty low too. So who are we talking about? Is Lamar Jackson not as mentally developed as John Elway? Is Patrick Mahomes not as mentally developed as Dan Marino? I don't know if I buy that. I don't know that I do. These aren't the only comments Brady made that raised eyebrows. Many are saying Brady just revealed why the Raiders, his team did not draft Shedeur Sanders. Now, Brady, in this interview with Chris Collinsworth on Monday, discussed his thoughts on how quarterbacks should celebrate. I really like this.
That's what I look for all the time. When a quarterback throws a touchdown pass, I actually watch to see who he goes and celebrates with. Because what did I do? I looked for my offensive lineman every time. I went down and celebrated in the end zone with my teammates every time. I wanted everyone to feel like they were part of the success. I told the linemen, we're all running to the end zone and we're celebrating as a team. Because I think that's way more intimidating than a quarterback doing his 6-shooter guns and pointing up in the crowd and doing all that other bullshit that's very self-promotional, but it's not about winning. And I think winning in football is about a team, always a team attitude first.
Now I can get down with that. Now I can really get down with that. I mean, running over and why people are saying that this is a shot. I mean, people are always looking for something to talk about Shedeur Sanders, but why people are saying this is a shot, and one of the reasons why the Raiders did not take Shedeur Sanders is because he does that wristwatch thing. He does all that nonsense that Brady described as bullshit. He did. And frankly, he's right. I mean, how are you going to argue? Now, I'll argue Tom Brady's weird, ridiculous, whatever's a human. But I won't argue when it comes to football. Lou Holtz next. I grew up an hour away from South Bend, and I went to a Catholic school, Andrean High School, Gary, Indiana, and when Digger Phelps didn't recruit me, the nuns pulled me into a room and said, "You're going to Notre Dame, mister." I said, "Well, the coach didn't recruit me." "I don't care. We're calling Digger Phelps." I said, "Oh, boy." Okay, sister, end up in Indiana. And then the football coach was Coach Holtz, and we all loved Coach Holtz. We still do love Coach Holtz. Coach, I gotta get right into it. You went the other way, college to the NFL, back to college. Belichick struggling the other day. What'd you see out of Belichick's team and out of Belichick?
Well, it's a different game. There's no doubt about it. But he take for granted that athletes are going to be able to block and tackle and keep their play sidearm free because that's what you draft. But all of a sudden, it's a different rule. But I don't think you can evaluate a football team based on 1 week. I remember I'm at Notre Dame, and we lost the opener to Northwestern. We missed an extra point and a field goal, and everybody's, it's all over. We never lost together the rest of the year, and Northwestern went on to win the Big Ten. So you can't really evaluate a football team on the basis of 1 week, although you might be able to evaluate Alabama.
Coach, evaluate Alabama for me.
Well, it's like anything else, that every job is different. Every job has pressure. You have to be able to handle that pressure. But I was very disappointed that they didn't play harder. They didn't play physical. And Gus Malzahn did a tremendous job running the football. And they just dominated Alabama. I didn't think that would ever happen, but all things come to an end. All dynasties come to an end, and I think Alabama's dynasty is over now.
Do you really? I mean, you just said that you can't over one game. It's been 14 games for DeBoer. What makes you feel that it's bigger than just a couple losses here? What makes you feel that this dynasty is now back to everybody else?
Well, when you have a big game like that, national attention, everybody's looking at the game, and to show up and not play more physical, not be able to dominate the game. Florida State, let's remember this, they couldn't run the ball except the quarterback, but they dominated the line of scrimmage against Alabama. You don't ever do that. And Alabama's supposed to have this great defensive line, a great offensive line, but that's all on paper. We have to see how many show up on game day. I don't believe there's any way in this world you can evaluate a team after 1 week. I think Miami was impressive, but Notre Dame's much better than that. You have a young quarterback. You don't need a great quarterback to hand the ball off to our tailback, but one carried the ball, 6 times, the other one 7. Just hand the ball off to our tailback and let the offensive line. But our offensive line was not as physical as what we need to be, what we're used to be, and that will change. I talked to the Coach Freeman yesterday, and he'll get it straight. I'm not worried about him. But by the same token, I don't know how good Florida State is. We'll find out. But it's great to see Florida State, and Miami having a good year so far. And we need that for college football.
We do. When you watch the Florida State Notre Dame game, the Miami Notre Dame game, did you get any flashbacks, Catholics, convicts, all that? I wore a shirt. I wore one of Frederick's shirts. Hell, I was a dummy. I wore it. I was all in on it, Coach. You get any flashbacks to that?
I didn't like that. But what was amazing at this game, there were a lot of T-shirts that said Catholic versus convict version 2025. But I didn't like that when I was coaching. I felt that was unfair, because not all our team was Catholic. You can't really evaluate that. But the rivalry with Miami was great. And what made it great was Jimmy Johnson and all the great receivers and all the great athletes involved in that game. Well, I'll tell you what I was shocked at. I was shocked at how many Miami fans were at that game. That whole stadium was orange. And that's unusual. When we went on the road, half of the stadium was Notre Dame, but I had trouble finding a lot of Notre Dame fans there.
Yeah, Miami, people think that Miami's this massive draw. It's not a massive draw in Miami. There are a lot of other things to do.
Well, I hope to tell you they do. Just the weather is so beautiful, so many different things going on. But I think the fact that they had a good year last year, and one thing about Miami people, they do go with the front runner, and whether it be baseball, professional football, whatever else the case may be. But this is a good Miami football team. I don't think it's a great football team yet. We can't evaluate that. We don't know how good Notre Dame is. We don't know how good Miami is. We're going to have to wait 1 or 2 weeks to find out where we really are. Let's remember,
how about
2 years ago, Florida State was ranked number 1. They ended up winning 2 games, and they were lucky to do that. So we can't tell.
What did you think of Ohio State, your guy, Ryan Day, and what did you think of Arch Manning?
I think Arch Manning is much better than that. He tried to make some great throws, and you can't do that. But also, let's be careful before we put Ohio State in the Hall of Fame, because they were outgained by, 100 yards by in that game. When you look at it, I think you have to say that they outgained Ohio State by over 100 yards. And it was 3 times on 1 yard to go, and they couldn't make it. And you have to say to your football team, particularly your offensive line, my gosh, you're kidding me. We needed 1 yard, and you're on scholarship, and you're 290 pounds, and we can't get a yard. We got the best running backs going. It's just crazy. I can hardly wait to, but you remember me telling this. I don't think Ohio State's a great football team. I know the schedule is very, very good, but when you're at home you're outgained by well over 100 yards, you just can't look at it and say, okay, we're great. We won the game. Everybody look, yeah, they are 1-0, and that's the objective they had going into that game. But they're not a great football team. I would not be overwhelmed about facing Ohio State, although I was surprised that they lost Knowles, their defensive coordinator. I thought there'd be a big drop-off on their defense, but Ohio State's defense played outstanding football. So I think we'll have to see how good Michigan is. We'll have to see how good other teams are. I don't know about Oklahoma. We'll find that out tonight or this weekend when they play Michigan. I think Michigan could be a very, very good football team. And one Lord knows, Michigan better not beat Ohio State again. I'm from Ohio. I coached there under Woody Hayes. We won the national championship. We scored late in the game. The winner is going to go play for the national championship, and Woody went for 2, and we won the game 50-14. They said to Woody, "Why'd you go for 2?" He said they wouldn't let me go for 3. You know, you have to be part of that rivalry. When you win, you get a little pair of gold pants, which signifies that you beat Michigan that year.
Hey, Coach, did you reach out, or did Ryan Day reach out to you after the national championship?
No, I tell you what, Ryan Day could be Ryan Day. He'd do whatever he wants. I did write him a congratulatory letter, but I never heard back from him. I'm sure he can write, but in any event, he did not answer the letter, but that's his alternative.
I'm sure he can write. I would think he could write. I don't know. Maybe. I guess. I don't know.
Well, he's got a good football team, and he's obviously a good coach. He's a good recruiter. He's a good coach. He can handle his staff, etc. You look at his one-loss record, it's really tremendous. But let's not get overwhelmed because the Big Ten doesn't have that many great football teams in it this year. But we'll find out.
Don't be besmirching my Indiana Hoosiers, Coach. My Indiana Hoosiers, they handled Old Dominion pretty handily.
Well, I tell you what, that game was in doubt a little bit in the first half. When you play Old Dominion, the game should be over at the toss of the coin. But I still think that, what Indiana did last year was fantastic. I think they'll be very, very good this year. He's a good football coach, but we'll have to wait and see. Too many people are trying to pass judgment and burying teams based on one game. I think the only team you can bury after one game is Alabama. It hurts me to say that because they've been such a strong part of college football, but it is disappointing when they've lost to 4 unranked teams in a 1 year and 1 game. 4 times they've lost unranked teams. Maybe once, but not 4 times. No.
I know some guys that played for you, and I know you come off as this nice guy, funny guy, but you were a killer, a stone-cold killer as a coach. I don't know how many times you lost to an unranked team as a 14-point underdog, but I bet it didn't happen too much, and I bet those players, after the next practice, never wanted to lose to a freaking unranked team again, Coach.
Well, your obligation as a coach is to set high standards for the players, not be well-liked and not to be popular. As I said to him, I have a wife. I don't need you to like me. I need you to perform for me, and that's your obligation as a coach, is to get them to be productive and to show up and win the game. Yeah, I was tough on the players, and had I been murdered when I was coaching, I don't think the place would have investigated because there have been so many suspects. However, I can honestly say this now, that I am very, very popular with our players, not because of who I was, but because of the standards we set and the rules we taught them. See, the same things are going to make you a great player, will make you a great teammate, will make you a great husband, a great father, a great businessman. And when we get together for the as Texas A&M game, our former players will come back, and that'd be great to see them. But what really impresses me is the success they have off the field as well. Because football is not just about a game. It's about a way of life. It's the things you believe and how you perceive.
Coach, last thing before I let you go. You've mentioned many times, you can't really evaluate off of one game. How many games do you think it takes before you get a real handle on a team?
I think by three. By three, you should have a real good handle on them. And I think it's important for you to be able to evaluate your football team. And remember this, nothing's as good as it seems, and nothing's as bad as it seems. But somewhere in between there, reality falls. Miami had a win. It wasn't that great. Yes, it was a win, but they better put it in a proper perspective. But they have a good football team, but I don't think they're a great football team.
Last thing before I let you go. My coach, and I tried to do this as a coach, Coach Knight, by the time you walked out of a big win, you were really happy, but you were on to the next game. And he used a famous thing that Jerry Faust did after Faust's first game. And, it taught me a lesson. Apparently, Jerry was still holding up the sign from the previous game on a Wednesday. And Coach Knight, I was a freshman, came in and said they're going to get their ass beat next week, and they did. How hard is it in modern college football to get kids to move on to the next game? Like after a big win, like Miami, big win. Now you got to go play again the next week.
Well, it's how you approach it. I explained to our team this. When we had a great win, the following week was more important. For example, if Miami loses this week, the victory over Notre Dame is worthless. And every time you win, the next game becomes more important. And I was a big fan of Bobby Knight. He'd come to Notre Dame to play basketball, and I'd always go down and see him, take my son Skip with him. Bobby Knight was just one in a million. He was fun to be around, yet at the same time very opinionated. And Bobby Knight and I used to get in a lot of arguments. He was always trying to tell me basketball was harder to coach than football. I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, you got 10 players and 12 coaches. I've got 120 players and 10 coaches. And he'd argue, no, still. I say, hey, Bobby, if winning in basketball is difficult, how did Digger Phelps win that many games? He said, you win. And he gave up. We never argued again about that. But just remember that the next game is more important than the last one. If you win it, the next game carries even more importance.
That's in the day and age of where everybody's so popular and you got TikTok, all this stuff. That's got to be really, really, really hard, Coach. It's got to be. I used to argue with him. He used to tell me that when I was his assistant. I go, Coach, I love you. I'll be a yes man. But I ain't buying basketball's easier to coach than football. I can't even call a play in football. Basketball, we go two, run two. Football, you're like XYZ, 7 fat guy, blah, 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 blah. I can't even say the plays in football.
Well, the basketball coach at Michigan State is a big football fan. And when I was coaching Notre Dame, he would call me from time to time and would talk about players, etc. But it's all about being competitive. Football and basketball is very similar in one respect. You're trying to get the maximum out of your players each and every game, each and every practice. And what you're really trying to develop is good teammates. Great players come and go. Good teammates last a lifetime. And that's all we want to do is be a good teammate. And a good teammate is somebody that's not going to let you down. I remember saying to the team one time, before a big game, I always go by and make bed check, not to check and see if they're going to bed, but what is their attitude? And one player, I said, how do you feel? He said, I'm nervous, Coach. I said, about what? He said, I know my teammates are going to play great. I don't want to let them down. When you have that type of attitude, good things are going to happen. And that's what you're trying to develop as you go through the season. And it's a great time for Coach Freeman to say to his team, when things don't go well, you know how many friends you have in this world? Those you eat with, sleep with, bleed with, pray with, and cry with. And that's your family and your teammates. So all the other accolades about how great you are, how bad you are, ignore that. Let's remember to stay focused on what we're doing and focus on our teammates and don't let them down.
Coach, I remember my first varsity basketball game, little Catholic school, going to the big Gary school, Gary Roosevelt, and our high school coach said, hey, just remember, 6 billion Chinese don't care who wins this game. I said, Coach, I don't give a shit about them. I give a shit about me, and I care. He's like, Dakich, shut up. Just shut up. And I get it, but, telling it. Look, I know this was you. Losses to me were like death, like literal death. And as a player or as a coach,
to me,
and
however,
it's hard to focus on that.
But when you lose, you have to say to yourself, I'm going to give myself 12 hours to cry, to feel sorry. But after 12 hours, we're going to move on. And the important thing is Miami beat us one. Don't let them beat us again this week when we're playing Texas A&M. You got to put that behind you. You got to move on. Remember, the Lord put eyes in front of your head rather than back, so you can see where you're going rather than where you've been.
Love you, Coach. Thanks for coming on. I hope you'll come back after week 3 or 4 and you can tell us who is good.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to come back unless you invite me. But thank you. It's always a pleasure to be there. And I appreciate you paying attention to what a man thinks. I'm old.
No, I love what
my
you think,
birthday
Coach.
candles cost more than a cake. But be that as it may, that's life.
Thank you, Coach. Man.
Thank you for having me.
I love talking to Coach Holtz. I love talking to Coach Holtz. Honest to God, it's just great. It's just awesome. I mean, and again, as a Catholic kid growing up an hour away, I wasn't one of those crazy, I love everything about Notre Dame, but I like Coach Holtz. I thought he was great. All right, we come back. A lot to get to. Tim Brando, I think at 10:20, Tim's going to join us. We'll be right back. Yesterday, Clay Travis posted something that I think is really cool. 5-year-old boy in Jacksonville wakes up before everyone else, walks to Chick-fil-A, gets a little breakfast. Hey, just woke up. What are you going to do? Hey, like everybody else, he just wanted a little Chick-fil-A. Who doesn't want a little Chick-fil-A? You wake up, hey, wait, Mom, Dad, what are you doing? Now what? I'm going to go get a Sando. Cops were called. Everybody's up in arms. The world is mad, but I think it's funny, and I'm glad it wasn't my 5-year-old son. I remember one time the cops came to my house because my daughter or my son and his friend Gigi Meyer, Urban's daughter, called the cops. Called 911 just for the hell of it and hung up. Prank call. Hey, Fox is proud to announce the release of their new streaming service, Fox One. On Fox One, you can stream your favorite live sports, including the NFL, college football, NASCAR, MLB postseason, and so much more. The NFL is, it's here. And I'll be catching all the big games on Fox One. Download the Fox One app on your favorite device or smart TV today. Fox One, we live for live streaming. Now, all right, if you ever wanted to see a DEI hire, if you ever wanted to see a nerd, if you ever wanted to see somebody hired because of, I'm assuming, analytics and having a vagina, here it is. Assistant General Manager of the Cleveland Browns, Catherine Hickman, talking about how she evaluates quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's actually a great question, Daryl. That's what makes our job fun and hard. I'd say I'd just go back to like the plan that we have in place for these guys when it comes to developing is acquiring as many valuable data points we can. Now we know these things take time. So what is that going to look like at the end of the year? I don't have a crystal ball to tell you, and I don't do well with hypotheticals, but I will say that every opportunity we will have to evaluate them, we will take. None of them is going to take, a back seat in how we plan and program for them with the reps that we have. And then from there, we'll see what the spring brings, and we'll evaluate all possibilities like we always do.
Honest to God. Well, we need data points. Look, honey, how about you stay in the computer room? Don't stay in the kitchen. I want females involved, but my God, we got data points. Really? All right. Well, maybe that's the way. Maybe she's just telling the truth. Maybe I should defend her. Maybe she's just saying what's really going on in the Cleveland Browns, which wouldn't be a surprise as they have a very good general manager. But God dang, they got 8 quarterbacks in there, and they're afraid to cut Shedeur Sanders because, well, Shedeur Sanders would call him a racist. And Shedeur Sanders is going to end up as, I don't know. He's going to end up as the starting quarterback. Hey, Dylan. Hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dylan and Davey and Nick, I am sending you this Malcolm Gladwell piece here, and I want to play it, and I want to make fun of whoever the fuck Malcolm Gladwell is. I know who he is. But if you guys could download this, I don't know how this goes, but if we could do it, it'd be great, because what a putz. See, what's happening is all these douchebag little pain-in-the-ass, pussy-ass writers are now coming out, and they're reading the room, and now they're saying that women shouldn't have to participate against men in sports. It's such garbage. It's such nonsense. And Clay had it. All these idiots are now going to try to get on the right side and gaslight us. It's what they do. Malcolm Gladwell, my ass. How do these guys like this Hunter S. Thompson and all these guys, how do these guys all get to be like icons? Not Hunter S. Thompson. Is it Hunter Thompson? I don't know who the hell it is. I don't know. I get a headache on these guys. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and it wasn't Hunter S. Thompson. It was this other guy that writes for ESPN. When he wrote, we were all supposed to genuflect this. And if we ever have this clip, I should have got it to guys yesterday. It's so ridiculous, so asinine, such chicken shit that it makes me, well, frankly, swear in front of my mother. What are you going to do? Defending Super Bowl champ, Philadelphia Eagles. Their take on the tush. Whoa. Wait a second. Oh, God, I read this wrong. I read this earlier wrong. Let me read, if you don't mind. Defending champion, Super Bowl champ, Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow night, Thursday. The offseason was a lot of talk about banning the tush push, made famous by the Eagles. And now the tush push is being sponsored by Dude Wipes, which makes perfect sense. Hey, what the hell are dude wipes? Davey, what are dude wipes? You wipe your ass? What? You wipe your nuts? What are you doing here? Getting rid of the swass? What are dude wipes?
It's essentially baby wipes, Dan, but they just call them dude wipes, and it's something guys can wipe their ass with, I think the Browns have also partnered with them, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, if we're going tushy and we're going pushy, then we need Dude Wipes. Here it is, Davey. I should have read. Dude Wipes has built one of the most successful marketing brands in the industry by combining innovation, creativity, and humor. We're thrilled to welcome Dude Wipes as a partner of the Eagles. Look forward to having fun with their brand, both on and off the field this year. That is Brian Napoli, the head of corporate partnerships. I tell you what, when I used to run basketball camps in my hot high school gym 24 years, I was there all day from like 8 to 4, I needed some Dude Wipes. Right now I need Depends, but, that's a different level in my life. I love the fact that Deion Sanders is wearing Depends and bragging about it. I ain't mad at it. It only feels right for Dude Wipes to be official sponsor of the Tush Push. Dude Wipes CMO and co-founder Ryan Megan said, we're always looking to be bold. We're looking for bold and unconventional ways to inject the brand into cultural conversations in a distinctly dudified way. Yeah. And this partnership is a perfect fit. All right, get ready for this. You're going to see all these little douchebag, pain-in-the-ass, pussy-ass liberal writers changing their tune. Here's the latest, a legend, right? Malcolm Gladwell. We're all supposed to listen to him. The 10,000 things, if you want to get good at it. Shut up. Here's Malcolm Gladwell whining like a little bitch.
If we did a replay of that exact panel, at the Sloan Conference this coming March, it runs in exactly the opposite direction. And it would be, I suspect, near unanimity in the room that trans athletes have no place in the female category. I don't think there's any question. I just think it was a strange. The reason I'm ashamed of my performance at that panel because I share your position 100%, and I was cowed. The idea of saying anything on this issue, I was I believe in retrospect, in a dishonest way. I was objective in a dishonest way.
I was objective in a dishonest way. Is there a bigger pussy right now than him? Now, is there a bigger pussy than Malcolm Gladwell? I hope we put this as a separate thing because I'm going to promote this. I was objective in a dishonest way. What a pussy. Seriously, this guy, Malcolm Gladwell, I know you all think he's great because he writes words. But I don't really pay attention to people that write words. I don't. He's a public speaker. He's a writer for the New Yorker. He's published 8 books. He's a pussy. He's full of shit. He's soft. He can kiss my ass. And he's full of his you know what he put on his Wikipedia page? Distant cousin, Colin Powell. What a douchebag. He writes about sociology and psychology, but he's such a little bitch that he cannot think for himself or apologize for his own stupidity. Yet, I was dishonestly objective. And there are a lot of you that are going to go, see, really? See what? I was dishonestly objective. Really? All right. No, you were a little pussy that gave into the woke mob, and now you're reading the tea leaves because nobody's going to buy your books if you hang on to that ideology. That's all this is. If it looks like a pussy, if it talks like a pussy, it's a pussy. Period. That's it. What is the 80-20 rule in tipping point? Really? What was Malcolm Gladwell's famous quote? Oh, practice isn't the thing you do once, you're good. Practice is the thing that makes you good. Oh, really? Wow, that's some deep shit. Wow. Man, can you imagine? Wow. Gladwell was all on board for women having to participate against men. And then Gladwell, well, like Howard Stern, read the tea leaves. No, he did. He read the tea leaves. He read the tea leaves that, you know what? Hey, man, some shit in my past going to come out. Let me get in front of it. Malcolm Gladwell. You guys are going to buy this idiot's books. You guys are going to act like this guy is something other than what he truly is, and that is a front-running, never-done-nothing little bitch. And you're going to spend $50,000, some company is, to have this little guy come to your company and do what? Lessons from Malcolm Gladwell, inspiring life and love. Good adversity with Malcolm Gladwell. Really? All right. Yeah? Man. I first read about broken windows. Yeah? When Malcolm Gladwell faced real opportunity to stand up, walk like a man, and denounce the fact that women should never, ever, ever have to participate against men, he absolutely became what he is. A pussy. Period. Now, you can couch it. You can come back and say, I was dishonestly objective. He is such a little biatch that he literally got pressured to support such bullshit ideology as women participating against men. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's a hack, he's a fraud, he's useless, and he is a little bitch. Man, I'm on one today, Davey. Probably too harsh. There'll be a call. But tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong that all of a sudden some guy out of nowhere who so vehemently said, man, support trans world. And Clay said it best. You're going to see all these bullshitters, all these guys now read the tea leaves. They're going to read the damn tea leaves and say, you know what? Man, the cancel culture has switched. People are starting not to buy our BS. Hold on. Hold on here. I got to go the other way now or nobody will buy my books. You know what I mean? That oh God. That's all this is. It is un-effing believable that that's where we are at in this society. And you're going to buy his books. He's like a philosopher that gets pressured by what? Transgender groups to play, participate, and try to destroy women's sports? No, you can tell. When I stay on a subject, I will beat a dead horse. I will beat it to within an inch of its life. And this just I hate frauds. Call me whatever you want. I don't care what you call me. But do not call me late for dinner, and do not call me a fraud. Because I will tell you what I think, I will deal with the consequences, and away we go. This jackass tells you how to deal with everything, but then when the opportunity came, he was a little pussy. Period. And I ain't surprised. If it looks and talks like, anyway, there you go. Man, oh man. Well, I was dishonestly objective. Oh, really? Wow. Snap my fingers in a coffee shop. Where am I at here today? Valley of the Sun. All right. Snap your fingers. Yay. Wow, that's deep. Honest to God. Honest to God. No, that kind of stuff really makes me mad, and I'll figure it out, and I'll get over it. But not right now. Right now, that's why you hired me. They hired me because Double Schnizzle will be unafraid to call those out that are trying to lie to you and me and have no guts, no self-worth, nothing other than a house of cards. There's no difference between Malcolm Gladwell and those people that run Ponzi schemes. There's no difference. He's running a Ponzi scheme. He got called on it and couldn't handle it. No difference. None. Zero zip. They both make a ton of money, and they both are full of crap. Bingo. All right. Speaking of full of crap, the World Boxing introduced mandatory, listen to this, genetic testing, really, for all athletes competing in the female category. It's a straightforward requirement. If you want to compete as a woman, you must take a one-time genetic test proving you are, in fact, what? Female. Duh. Now, that one lady, that Khalifa girl, she's got a huge problem. Iman Khalifa, Algerian dude, boxing dude. As an athlete, I dedicate my life to training and preparation. I respect the rules as they are written, but when external pressures makes everything unclear, it becomes easy to be subject to sudden and unfair decisions. This not only harms the athlete, but also the very spirit of the sport, which should be based in transparency and mutual respect. Hey, lady. Hey, dude. Take a test. Ain't that hard. Jasmine Crockett went to a $65,000 a year school, a $30,000 high school, and she tries to be a ghetto sister. I love it. When in doubt, ghetto it out. I don't know. Her own staff hates her, as described. She's in danger of losing her congressional seat among Republican redistricting, yet unveiled yet another ghetto accent. And this is her strangest and strongest work yet. Here she is. Come on, sister, ghetto it up for me.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in.
That is legitimately funny. That is legit. I didn't see the video. That is legitimately funny. Holy cow. That's like local radio hosts in Indy when they get a black guest on. Honest to God. It's the funniest shit ever. I had to tell two guys I worked with over at another station, man, why you change the way you talk when you talk to a brother or a sister? This is legitimately funny. She's a dumbass. What would make one thing that you have to change that way? Like, why can't you just be as opposed to just being who you are? I'm always fascinated by it. When I grew up in Northwest Indiana, I'd go play basketball, and I'd go in Gary, and I was one of the only white guys allowed to play. But when I would bring somebody with me, they would always try to act different. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You ain't black. You ain't going to be black. Just be yourself. Look at people as people. Look at people look at people like you would like them to look. What? This is really funny. It is legit. Can we play that again? That is legitimately funny.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy. Because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in.
This from Clay. Jasmine Crockett's parents sent her to a $35,000 a year high school and a $60,000 a year college. They have to be humiliated by this. It's also an insult to her constituents. She feels like she has to act dumber to connect with them. Tim Brando next. Great Tim Brando joins us. All right, I'm getting right to it, Coach. The great Lou Holtz came on and said, of all the teams week one, you can't evaluate teams in week one, blah, 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 blah. But what he did say was, yeah, Alabama's dead. Dead. They're going to be good, but that dynasty is dead. Where are you at with that, Tim?
Yeah, listen, all dynasties, whatever dynasties you want to believe you have, are dead. And the reason is because college football's parity is no longer a myth. Okay, I remember Beano Cook, God rest his soul, in the old days of Game Day, which I got a little nostalgic last week after what was going on with our friend Lee Corso of Indiana and Game Day fame. He would say, everybody talks about parity. It's a myth. Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, these teams, they're the rich get richer, and until things change, that's the way it is. But the scholarship limitations coupled now with where we are in terms of NIL and the portal more than anything else, Dan. I mean, if you look at teams that have recently won national titles and where they got their quarterbacks, they got them right out of the portal. So, and by the way, it's not just the rich getting richer in the portal. We're seeing teams that are actually getting better by having quarterbacks come from so-called other power programs and moving in. I'll give you a great example. And I've got Indiana this week, your alma mater, against Kennesaw State. And I believe that as good as Rourke was, you're actually better at the quarterback position with Mendoza. Okay? I really believe that. Now, it didn't necessarily show up in week one. That was kind of a ho-hummer to open the season. That happens when you have teams scheduled like that to open your season. But I definitely believe that that's true at a lot of different places. John Mateer moving from Wazoo to Oklahoma immediately makes Oklahoma, in my mind, a team that could be in the college football playoff. That's how good I think that kid is. Plus, he brought his offensive coordinator with him. So, yeah, Alabama, for all of the travails of the people in that state, and listen, fans don't have to care about all of college football. We do. Okay, I'm in the business of following what's going on everywhere. But college football fans, by and large, studies have been done, are the most ill-informed of fans in any given popular sport in America. Why? Because they live in these vacuums, and they believe because of their history that they're just supposed to beat the hell out of everybody, and that's not the way it works anymore. So I agree with Coach Holtz that Alabama is prowess is gone. And by the way, Nick knew it was going to be. That's why he got out. I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. He knew when to get the hell out.
Yeah. See, I always ask this. I always ask, like Urban. I say, hey, Urban, Billy Napier call you when he became the coach of Florida? No. I wonder, like, if DeBoer talked to Saban. I always think you should talk to the previous coach because there's a reason the previous coach left. There's a reason the previous coach did certain things. Mm-hmm. Like, I would wonder, let's go to Bill Belichick. Now, Belichick's won more than anything, but I would wonder whether he talked to Mac Brown because I thought this, Tim, I'm going to give you my opinion. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to give you my opinion, and then I want to hear yours. Okay. I'm with you. College football is my favorite sport. I watch it from I love it more than basketball. Basketball's got so many games, but college football, I thought the worst Power 5 team that I saw in terms of organization and talent and speed was Belichick's team. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but I would be curious to know if Belichick did talk to. How many people in college did he talk to before he took a college job?
I don't think he talked to very many, if any, other than maybe Nick, because they're friends. Okay, but I don't know that if he talked to Nick at length or wants to suggest to Nick that he's got things to learn. I don't know that Belichick is necessarily wired that way. I do know they talk a lot. I remember going in to interview Nick after he had won the national title in 2003 at LSU and went to his home, and Miss Terry opened the door, and I came in, and he lived in a palatial home on Highland Road in Baton Rouge. And he actually stopped my interview with him about 5 minutes in and said, hey, I got to take this call. It's Bill. So I know he'll take a call from Bill at any point in time. Now, that was 22 years ago, but a lot of I don't think things change between guys that are in that fraternity. And you even saw Nick say it, and it was very uncharacteristic of him to say it in the pregame show, which is another story altogether. That was basically in North Carolina. It was a billboard for North Carolina's football team and nothing else. I don't think they even knew TCU was playing in the game, but he said, I'm rooting for my friend. I'm rooting for Bill, which is very uncommon for Nick to say. I think the bottom line is the egos of these coaches, particularly a guy like Belichick. No, he's not. He's going to trust in Michael Lombardi, who, by the way, is a great football man. But unlike Dion, who brought basically all of his best players from Jackson State to Colorado, Belichick didn't bring anybody. All of this is just guys here, guys there, guys that Lombardi assembled. And I think in time, they might get around the curve and be decent before the season's over. I don't put too much stock in week one. And TCU's got a great quarterback that might be the most overlooked in the country in Josh Hoover. But no, I think that he did not consult anybody that was before him or necessarily that many people that are involved in college football per se. I agree with that.
Do you agree with my assessment on how bad I thought they looked? I know it was only week one, but he's the legend.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, for those that are saying, well, gee, Arch ran into Matt Patricia and Arch had a really tough time. Yeah, he ran into Matt Patricia, and Matt Patricia, who worked for Bill Belichick, had an entire offseason to prepare for Texas's offense. Sark did not respond to that. I thought it was more a poor outing for Sark than it was for Arch, but the reality is it didn't seem to bother TCU that Bill Belichick was all that as an NFL coach, right? They torched North Carolina. So it is a lot of times about matchups and about preparation. And TCU had been burned in that Colorado game. That's another thing. It was never mentioned until very late in the game. Holly Rowe, God bless her, finally came with some meat and potatoes in that broadcast and said, you know what? We talked to Coach Dykes about what he went through in that 45-42 loss at home after they'd been in the national championship the preceding year. He didn't know what to expect. That was a tough spot to be in. Well, they approached this game far differently, and you saw what happened. They were playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they just absolutely woodshedded the all-time great from the National Football League.
I want to go back to a point you made. I think this is going to be something that I would take in consideration if I were taking a job, or I would take into consideration if I were hiring for a job. You mentioned Indiana, and you mentioned Dion. Signetti brought a bunch of his players, his best players. Pons, the cornerback. He bought a ton with him. 70 new players on a roster. 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it is, training camp. That's bad business. But I want to go back to something. Texas, Notre Dame. Tim, I'm curious your thought on this because you know far better than I. Everybody says, well, you know what? It's going to be okay. It's not going to have that big an impact later on to make the college football playoff. I would argue, okay, how many losses do you get? Because when you lose, other teams are winning. How many losses do you get, Tim? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I think what Ohio State did prove last year was that you certainly get 2. Okay, you certainly get 2 losses, and even one of them can be late, and you can look really bad in the game, like they did against Michigan. Okay, they looked really bad in that game, and they lost in their own crib, but they still got in. Thankfully, that was a 12-team playoff, just like it was. Thankfully, the college football playoff began for Urban in 14. Okay, if we had the BCS, he wouldn't have been in the playoff, and he wouldn't have won it, and it was gerrymandered for Ohio State that year. TCU and Baylor both got screwed that season, if you recall. So timing is everything, right? I mean, it just is. But I do think that lingering residue from a loss like that can be bothersome. Ask Brian Kelly. You know, he was 0-3 in openers and spiraled really in the wrong direction with his defense with a transformational quarterback that won the Heisman Trophy. And even last year, they defensively they weren't there. But I will say this. They spent more money than Ohio State did in the portal in the offseason. I'd say it paid dividends. That secondary looked awfully sharp against Clemson the other night because I thought Cade Klubnik was actually a better quarterback than Nussmeier, and I was wrong. I thought Clemson would win that game, and you saw what LSU did. So they addressed their issues and got better. He who understands where our problems are and fixes them is going to be in better shape in this system. But it does help that we have 12 in. And when we get to 16, Dan, we're going to see a 3-loss team, I think, within the next 5 years.
I know.
We're going to see a 3-loss team play in the championship game. And I think fans have to adjust to that and adapt to that. And here's the reason I say it's going to be easier than you think. More important games in late November and big-time matchups in December in the playoffs. Boy, that's good. That's good sports television, man.
Oh, I'm all in.
I'm all in on this. I am. I don't think a team needs to be undefeated. I don't think a team has to just have one loss. Give me more football. Give me better football. Okay, and that's and more of it. Yeah.
Hell yes, Tim. Hell yes. Preach, sister. Hey, I do like this. I got a little fired up at Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy is bitching at Dan Lanning, saying that Oregon should play teams in their financial bracket. I call bullshit on that. Mike Gundy has played Central Arkansas. He's played North Dakota. He's playing like UT Martin. He can kiss my ass with that stuff. But Tim, I ain't mad at coaches going at each other. I ain't mad at Brian Kelly firing back at Dabo.
I love that.
I love this stuff, Tim.
Give me more of that. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Give me more of that. You know, the funny part is – when Spurrier went after Fulmer, remember now, you can't spell citrus without UT. When he did all of that, those were the best days ever, okay? And Switzer pissing off Darrell Royal all those years, knowing full well that Darrell Royal had given, Fairbanks, his boss, the wishbone that had been created by his offensive coordinator, Emory Ballard. That is a beautiful thing. Switzer had to wait for years to get in the College Football Hall of Fame because Darrell Royal was like, no way. You're not letting him in. And remember the one from Paterno? He said, we can't be leaving the college game to the Barry Switzers of the world. We can't be leaving it to those guys. I love that. That was beautiful. Spurrier going after Mickey Andrews before the national championship game with Florida State in '96. I think they hit behind. I think when they hit long after the whistle blows, And Andrews came back with and Bobby, I believe it was Bobby, said, now I don't understand what Steve's talking about there. We might play to the echo of the whistle, but we stop after we hear the echo of the whistle. I loved that. So, yeah, give me more of that,
Hey,
fellas.
honest to God. Yeah. Hey, I did think that Brian Kelly was right, though. I did think Brian Kelly in the second half beat the brakes off of Clemson. I don't know, right? I thought Kelly was right when he came back at that.
If anything, offensively, they weren't as productive on the scoreboard as their offense was on the field. But I think Garrett Nussmeier, when he had to make plays, made them. But defensively, that's where that game was won. The hiring of that Missouri defensive coordinator, I mean, that he made a big difference in that game. And Harold Perkins was Harold Perkins again. Okay, that last play, he looked like, this year's version of what Lawrence Taylor used to be. I mean, he was an absolute disruptor, in down and distance situations for LSU.
Tim, I can't let you go. Mike Tirico had a post, and you had a great post about it as well, about, guys wanting to be hot take guys wanting to be opinion guys, as opposed to play-by-play guys. I've always said this, man, play-by-play analyst, that's a way better job than being an opinion guy. I've been both. Hell, I got the best seat in the house sitting right there at sporting events, and I'm meeting all kind of cool people. I'm traveling to cool places. Talk about that if you don't mind.
I'm really concerned, and I think Mike is too. I believe he was talking to some folks at Syracuse on a podcast that is at his alma mater, and Awful Announcing picked up on it, and I agree with Mike wholeheartedly. Whenever I go and speak, whether it's to, the Cronkite class at Arizona State or to the Bob Schieffer class at TCU, and I speak to many of them through the course of the year, Dan, and honestly, all of the young people today, they want to be the next Stephen A. And that's troubling to me. Not that Stephen A is not a success, not that Stephen A hasn't marketed himself and proven from a business point of view that if you work your butt off and you're out there creating content, you can make millions and millions and millions. The art form of opinion is as simple as waking up in the morning and flipping on a light. I did what you did for 15 years. I had my own show, and I gave a lot of opinions. I wore a lot of hats. And when the opportunity presented itself for me to stop doing that and just focus on the art form of play-by-play, that's what I determined I'd do 10 years ago after 1 year at Fox. And honestly, I'm sad for the middle class. He mentioned the middle class. We got a lot of really good play-by-play broadcasters, Dan, that are getting either the boot or not being re-upped with their contracts because they've lasted long enough that they're paying them too much money. So they'll cut them loose in their 40s or their late 40s or 50s and hire a guy right out of school because they can pay him $2,000 a game. And those guys that are, have been in the business 15, 20 years and are really good at what they do suddenly have nowhere to go. Play-by-play used to be the gold standard. Like when I was growing up, it was the gold standard. I wanted to be the next Kurt Gowdy. I wanted to be the next Keith Jackson. Today, you don't hear that from people. I think part of it also is the glut of games we have out there. When those guys were working games, there were just 3 networks. And ESPN was like, because I know it, I was working there, we were like the AAA farm club to the big leagues, okay? We weren't the 1,200-pound gorilla that it is today. Game day became what it did because we worked people and we made it fantastic, but I didn't want to stay there. I didn't have the patience to stay there at that time. I wanted to be one of the big networks. Now, play-by-play is a bit of an afterthought, and that's unfortunate. It's sad. When I see really good, talented people, and we've seen it, by the way, guys like, think about this, ESPN lost Jason Benetti, Adam Amin, and Joe Davis in the span of about 3 years. Why? Because ESPN would rather have a studio host that's got a higher recognition factor calling a game, even though that studio host doesn't have the requisite tools to be a quality play-by-play guy. That's really sad. It's one of the reasons I'm glad I'm at Fox, because I do think our place does care about who's calling the game. And my call is completely different from Gus Johnson's or Jason Benetti's or Adam Amin's. I mean, it is.
but they still think that we deliver something that's uniquely ours and matters to the public. Mike was speaking, I think, on behalf of a lot of people that in the business are having to get out because the business is chewing them up if they haven't really accomplished something and really created some stardom for themselves. Then they are just filling gaps. We can get someone on the cheap to replace this guy. It's unfortunate.
Tim, I appreciate you, my friend. Talk to you all day. Thanks for coming on. I got to run. I got a heart out. They're mad at me. I got a heart out now all of a sudden. I don't know.
Cheers, Dan. All the
Thanks,
best, my
Tim.
friend.
See
You bet.
Buddy. You too. Great. I love talking to Coach Brando. All right, there it is, 10:45. I'm out. See you tomorrow.